Hi, this is Rajat here from Startup Frat, and today I'm going to talk about risk. Yeah, in the previous video we spoke about the pain of regret. Either you take the risk of failure or the pain of regret. Only one of two things. And in today's market, unless you are in the market yourself every single day, dealing yourself, putting your trademark out there, putting your name out there, so that people deal with you directly rather than through your employer, through your end buyer or something. Most Indian businessmen have a business where they're supplying their end suppliers to somebody who already has a brand in the market, right? They are the nameless, faceless people. A lot of people are Amazon suppliers. They think they are in business. That's not true. None of your customers knows you or cares about you. Amazon controls your income, right? So you want to have a personal brand driven strategy where you're the person out there, people deal directly with you, etc. Okay. Now, a lot of people think that, hey man, that's very risky, and I don't know if I could do it. It's much more comfortable if you have one big buyer, that one big client, that can totally make life for you, etc. But the one big client in today's market doesn't come like that. Just because you have a business house, just because you have a degree or a professional or whatever it is, right? It doesn't come like that. You need to spread out your wings and spread out your risk so that you have multiple streams of income coming in, so that no single client can control your destiny. Yeah. So if you're a business owner, you'll probably realize what I'm saying. Now, what is this risk that we are talking about? There's no entrepreneurship without risk. Okay. So anybody who tells you, yeah man, there is no risk doing it, it's a slam dunk deal, don't kind of believe that, because there is a risk in everything you do. In fact, there is a risk in everything you don't do as well. So we're going to talk about the structure of risk, and we're going to break it down into 2 or 3 segments, and we're going to talk about how you minimize the risk. Let me give you an example of Reliance Jio. Okay, I don't know if it's the most appropriate example, but I'll just give you the example of Reliance Jio. Telecom market is a very, very difficult market to be in, very, very thin margins and all of that, and it's a constantly changing market and everything, and every single customer is worth like $500-600. It's not a whole lot of money. So you need to be extremely sure about what you're doing. Now, what Reliance Jio did was, they said, in the internet market, or in the unified communications market, there's all these different players and all of that, and everybody has a small fragmented share of the market. What can I do to minimize the risk of getting into the market? First of all, they didn't play at the same level. They went underground with oxygen tanks, and for 5 years they planned every single part of the game, which is, what technology am I going to bring to India, how I'm going to get the customers, how I'm going to make sure that there is no disruption. What is disruption? The road gets dug, your internet line gets cut, something happens, the power lines get cut, there's a power cut in town, your internet line goes off and things like that. So how do I ensure I provide the best possible connectivity, the best possible service, and then I to make my money back, I have a hold on the market. Otherwise, with 2-5% profit margin, nobody is really, you see all these companies going bankrupt because the margins are so thin. So what they did was, they went inside, they went underground, and for 5 years before launching the service, they studied every aspect of the business, and then they brought fiber optic technology. And the fiber optic technology was not entirely dug into the ground. It goes through your existing, the society. You have the wiring in the society, you connect it to that, and then the internet can be delivered from there. Then they said, well, what do we do to make sure that people try our service and believe in our service? They gave a record 1 year free service. And when you use a service for 1 year for free, you realize there is no downtime. The customer service is pretty good. I call them, they always pick up the phone, they always help me out, whatever it is. Okay, then by the time the customer realizes that, okay, this is a good service, they also have their cable integrated with it. They also have a bunch of services integrated, which is called something called ecosystem based marketing. Okay, now you have your cable, you have your YouTube, you have your Netflix, you have your internet, and you have a phone coming in through that one line that never goes down, and the charges are pretty reasonable, right? And what they provide is speed that is 20 times the speed of the next best provider. 20 times. When they first brought fiber optic into India, the speed was 20 times the speed of the next best internet connection that was possible for the same price, right? So that's how, and I'm sure they have other dealings and all to make sure that everything stays ship shape, the laws don't change to suddenly become anti-reliance or things like that, or whatever it is. But they went underground and they minimized all the risk for themselves before making such a bold and big move. Okay, they minimized the risk for themselves by making such a bold and big move. I have another video that talks about Amazon, how they focused on the smallest possible market that they could serve to the best of their abilities, which is book readers. Okay, the smallest possible market that they could serve to the best of their ability so that they became the domain or the supplier of choice for anybody who wants to read a book today, and then they expanded their services separately. Okay, so how do you minimize risk if you're a small business owner, if you're an independent professional or a corporate professional who wants to set up their own brand and you're like, oh my god, it's too risky? Let us break down that risk into different points, and then we'll talk about how that falls, how that makes sense to us. Risk comes from primarily three factors. Okay, risk comes from primarily three factors: the risk of losing money, the risk of losing money, the risk of, very important, Indian middle class, very important, the risk of losing face, the risk of losing money, the risk of losing face, and the third thing is the risk of the unknown. Okay, unknown. I don't know if you'll be able to read this red text over here because I have yellow lighting in the office, so yellow and red don't go well together, but the risk of the unknown. Let me just rewrite this thing. Okay, risk of the unknown. What is it that I don't know that everybody else probably knows because they are in business? Or what is it that could potentially go wrong? And this goes back to old Indian economy back before the 70s, 80s, when so many things could go wrong. Like there was corruption at every level. Everybody was out to get you because there was not enough abundance in the economy. So everybody was trying to, cut each other's leg and all of that stuff, right? Cutthroat competition, people doing all sorts of things to bring you down. But today we are an abundant economy. Okay, those old thought patterns need to be changed. Okay, there is hardly, as compared to the 70s, there's much less corruption today. There is, a lot of people are not trying to bring you down. Everybody's running their own race. Okay, you need to run yours too. And of course, there is a lot of knowledge that you may have that you will get along the way that you may not know. Everybody is not, Mukesh Ambani, for example, right? There's a lot of things you will learn along the way. So how do we minimize this risk? How do we minimize the risk of losing money, risk of losing face, and risk of the unknown? I'll give you three little ideas, and then what I want you to do is I want you to comment below what were your takeaways and what else would you like to know, what other information would you like to know, because the more you interact with these videos, the more Facebook will show them to you. If you don't interact with them, then Facebook will stop showing them to you, then you'll forget about them, and then we'll run separate paths. Yeah. Okay, what is the risk of losing money? See, in the old times, before you went into business for yourself, you had to invest a lot of money. You needed to have a factory, you need to have employees, because money was involved in producing a good and money was involved in delivering a good. You had to have the tempos to deliver your goods, or whatever it is. Okay, so you needed to invest a lot of money, hundreds, like lakhs of rupees and crores of rupees upfront, okay, to set up your business house, which would then start supplying whatever product or service that you're trying to supply. Okay, so risk of losing money, if you didn't know what was going wrong, what was going on, either right at the time of launching the business would go down, which is why they say 90% of all businesses shut down within the first 1 year. And then in the next 5 years, when you started to scale the business, you had to pump a lot of money into scale and grow the business, right? And at that point, if any of the equations went wrong, then you would be left in debt, and then you'd have to call for bankruptcy and everybody would be after you, which is why they say the 10% of businesses that survive for the next 5 years, 90% of those 10% actually do not survive after 5 years. So we're talking about a 98-99% failure rate in those times, right? Because the money involved was so upfront that unless you were able to cover all of those expenses, you would have to file for bankruptcy, right? Risk of losing money. What is the risk of losing face? You tried something and then everybody would come to know, and then if you didn't succeed, then everybody would say, man, what a foolish person, you should have jitni chaddar hai utni pav philao, whatever you know how to do a job, you have educational qualification, whatever, just get your degree, go do a job or whatever. Don't try to get into areas that you don't understand, right? A lot of ridicule, risk of, and that's only in India. There's nowhere else is it applicable. And then you have the risk of the unknown, which is what information I don't know, because traditionally what we have associated subconsciously is that the people whose family this business is running, they only know how the business is to be run, right? The people who have law practice for last 3 generations, they are the only ones who can have a successful private law practice. Otherwise, everybody else goes to work for corporate or something. Okay, the people who have run successful retail businesses, they are the only ones in log ke family mein hi chalta hai, right? It's their family that knows all the secrets. So I cannot get into it. I cannot be a first generation millionaire or whatever. Okay, so how do you minimize this risk? How do you minimize this risk? You minimize this risk using 3 little techniques, okay, that we use in the lean startup. What are these? First of all, losing money. We don't invest a lot of money up front. This is something what we call rear loaded risk. Rear loaded risk. What is rear loaded risk? You follow the Jeff Bezos model and you do the smallest possible action, payable, chargeable action or chargeable product. You release the smallest possible chargeable product to the smallest possible audience where you're likely to have no competition. Okay, where you're likely to have no competition. What did Jeff Bezos do? He says nobody's supplying book readers because A, there is not a whole lot of profit in books, and B, less than 2% of people on the planet actually read books. You'll be surprised. Okay, less than 2% on the planet, people on the planet, after they finish their graduation degree and all that, nobody wants to read after that. Okay, so less than 2% of the people. So he said, that's the market I'm going to go after. Okay, and then he made sure that you could supply the book from anywhere on the planet to those people. And one of the big things he had in his control was there is no custom duty or import duty applied on any book that travels from any country to any country. Okay, so they have a global understanding that books do not attract custom duty and import duty. So what you are doing right now is you're doing rear loading of risk. You're providing the smallest possible service to the smallest possible person where there is no competition. There is no competition because hardly anybody reads books. So there's a lot of risky, people don't want to get into it. And the second thing is that there's not a whole lot of profit margin on books. So a lot of competition is not likely to get in. Okay, so what we do is we provide the smallest possible product to the smallest possible market and we test it out. Okay, and we see, okay, I need to put in 10 rupees in here to make 30 rupees out. Now this is something that works for me. So can I try putting 20 rupees tomorrow and get 60 rupees out? Okay, the third day, can I put 90 rupees, and get 270 out or something like that? Okay, that's a rear loaded risk, which means the cash injection happens towards the end. The other thing is the business house in this lean startup, the business house is not your biggest investment, which means you can buy the product from somewhere and sell it to a person. Okay, so as long as you can get the orders, we first figure out how are we getting the orders, at what price we can get the orders, and once we figure out that price and that customer lobby, then we reverse engineer from there and say, how can I get this particular product in 40 rupees without making it myself, without setting up my own factory? Can I get it from somewhere at 40 bucks and supply it to the buyer? Okay, and if the vendors are saying, okay, no, the minimum you're going to get is 60 bucks, can I do a bulk deal? Can I do something to make sure that my cost of acquisition comes under 40, all the while I'm using all of that money or all of that profit to scale the business? Okay, this is something called a rear loaded risk, which means you don't need to put the money up front. Now, is there any money to be made without putting money at all? Because a lot of people over here, may not have had experience in business. I get a lot of queries, I get a lot of emails saying I have no money whatsoever. Can I still do business? The answer is yes. But when we are talking about some serious income that is upwards of 1 lakh rupees a month, 1 lakh rupees a month, if you want to make this kind of money consistently, you will have to put money into business. So I'll just give you one example. The smallest possible market that can possibly buy my product, I can talk to some of my friends and neighbors. And maybe some people who start buying my product or start making a small profit. But now I need to have at least 5,000 people know about me. So what do? Either I can go house to house, like election campaigning people go house to house and say, this is what I do, etc. It'll take me half my life. Or I can catch hold of a newspaper vendor and say, I've got these little pamphlets. I want you to put one in every newspaper and distribute them to the 5,000 households where you have distribution. The person will say, okay, bhaiya, I'll charge 1 rupee per newspaper. That means 5,000. That means you give me 5 grand upfront. That is fine. So I'll give him 5,000 rupees upfront. Maybe the pamphlets fall out of some of the newspapers. Maybe only 3,000 people see it. When last did you see 3,000 people that know about you and your product within the space of 1 or 2 hours. 1 or 2 hours, okay? 3,000 people know about you, okay? Now the chances are not all 3,000 are going to do business with you. Maybe a minority of them, maybe less than 500 will do business with you. But how fast can you get 500 sales otherwise if you don't put money? Okay, so if you just, you can have people hitting the phones. I have employees who basically sit on the phones and hit the phones. That's how I get all my corporate contracts, because my corporate contracts are high ticket. So I cannot expect Facebook ads, people start spending $1,000 on my service on Facebook ads, right? So I have people who actually collect the leads and then they call the leads, but I have to pay them. Okay, there's 30,000 rupees salary every single month. Okay, so money will make money at some point, okay, and you don't want to make all this money yourself, because then you'll just be an employee in your own business, okay? You'll be an employee. So yes, you can test the market. Yes, you can make some money. I would say maybe your first 1 lakh rupees you can make without the use of any hard investments. But if you want to scale, then at some point you will have to invest all that money back into the business, okay? So that is what we call rear loaded risk. There is no scenario on this planet where you have zero risk, but we have something called managed risk, rear loaded risk, okay? What is losing face? Losing face. We use something called laser target marketing. Laser target marketing. What is laser target marketing? Usually a lot of people, like in India, you have this old system of marketing, which is, let's get the word out. Okay, let's get the word out. Let's do the pamphlets. Okay, and then business will automatically come to me. Okay, so scatter marketing has been the mantra, and that comes from the old times. Okay, so if you set up a business, you are the only game in town, because nobody else can set up a business, because nobody else will get a bank loan and all of that. So you're the game in town, and now what you're going to do is you're going to spread the word left, right, and center. Hey man, this is what I do. I've opened a new restaurant. Please come. There's a new restaurant. Please come. Please come. Please come. Please come. Okay, that works very well in a supply-driven economy. But in a demand-driven economy, where the supply is oversupply of every possible thing you can think in the market, then that doesn't work, because your word gets spread out, it gets dissipated, and people don't act on it. Nobody acts today on one good idea. Right? So you give me an idea, hey man, how would you like to put 1 lakh rupees and make 3 lakh rupees? I'll say yeah, and then I forget about it, right? I'm not going to think about it all night. Man, that guy told me I can put 1 lakh and get 3 lakhs. No, you're competing with Facebook, you're competing with YouTube, you're competing with the newspapers, you're competing with the IPL, that's the first thing in people's mind. Those are the people you're competing with. Your little idea, your bright little product ain't going to make a dent, not an actionable dent. So what you want to do is you want to have laser target marketing. Laser target marketing is you find the people who have the first thing in their mind, the first problem in their mind in the beginning of every morning, okay, can be solved by your product. They have a problem that your product solves, and these are the people who are so committed to solving the problem that is the only thing they can think of all day. Okay, now there's a procedure to find, which we call demand generation model, which I won't go into it today. Okay, but you do laser target marketing, and you send your message only to those people. Only to those people. Okay, now I did a live experiment on how you do laser target marketing back in April and May. Okay, laser target marketing back in April and May, which is how this community got started later. But for the first 3 months, while I was collecting 1 lakh rupees a month from a digital product line that I had launched, my wife didn't even know what I was up to. Wouldn't that be cool, man? Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. Now the reason is not because I wanted to keep anything secret from my family or something, because as compared to my traditional income, this seemed like a wild idea. Why would you waste your time, especially sometimes the family time, etc., doing something that makes you 1 lakh rupees when my traditional income is much more than that, right? So I said, okay, let me just try this out. It's good fun. Let's do this. And I tried this laser target marketing on the first, in 24th or 25th April. And later we have taught this to many students who the number one problem that they have is I'm in a job. I want to start doing some business, but I don't want my boss to know. Okay, I don't want my colleagues to know. I don't want everybody to know that I'm trying to do this, because that's going to affect me in my career, my job, right? That is the number one issue that a lot of people have. And we've helped hundreds of students, okay, to do laser target marketing where nobody even knows what they're up to till they're ready to resign or whatever it is you want to do. Okay, there are many people who don't want to resign. They say, this is good money, I love doing it, and I want to keep doing this, my passion or whatever it is that they do, and I want to keep it paying me, but I don't want to quit my job. That's fine too, that's awesome. Okay, but you do something called laser target marketing. What is the third thing? The fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown, my friend. How do you minimize the fear of the unknown? First of all, you get all the information possible you possibly can. In the old days, we used to call it the BTM formula, which is books, tapes, and events. Okay, I say books and audio, which is audiobooks, or YouTube Premium. I have YouTube Premium. I listen to 2 or 3 hours of YouTube every day in one single topic, which is how to do Facebook marketing better, how to do better graphics, how to tell a better story and things like that. Okay, audio. The third thing is events. Today you have webinars or whatever it is. Okay, you can get to learn a lot from webinars, and then you can get to learn a lot from the paid products that people are selling. Okay, a lot of people in the webinar, they're selling paid products. We also promote our own lead generation services in our webinars. And the number one thing you will learn from is by buying the service and learning from the person who's supplying you the service. Now, for my example, I'm not a technology guy, I'm not a digital guy at all, but the first time I got a taste of internet marketing was when I had hired a company to promote, to do ads, SEO marketing for me, ads and SEO marketing for me. And then I got to learn a lot about how this game is played, and I got an annual contract with the company. I said, what do I need to do to be able to come and sit in your office and watch your personnel doing this stuff for me? And they said, we don't allow that, but if you give us, they were they're in need of money, so they said, if you sign a 1-year contract with us, we'll be happy because we know you're a loyal customer. I said, absolutely. I paid them upfront for 1 full year, and then I would go travel all the way across town and sit over there for 1 or 2 days a week, just watching and learning and asking the people, how do you do this, teach me how to do this, etc. And today I know a lot about SEO marketing and a lot of the digital stuff, although I'm horrible with a computer, and I prefer paying somebody to do it for me. Okay, that is the way you're going to learn this stuff. Okay, so not with a lot of money, but go out. If you buy books, that's very small investment. If you have a YouTube Premium subscription or buy some audiobooks and all, the very small money up front. If you go out and buy somebody's product and learn how they do this stuff, there's not a whole lot of money. Okay, so you need to build your skill set so that the fear of the unknown goes away. Okay, and the real fear will go away when you try to do things, you get some results, you get some failures, and then you're like, okay, this is what I need to improve. Okay, and all of this can be done without spending lakhs of rupees and all of this stuff. Okay, but you do need to take the first step. You do need to take the first step. Okay, and one of the things I say, you need to get organized in your life, get your time organized, figure out what are the hours of the day that you're going to do all of this, to help learn and get conversant with the idea what it is that you want to do to take you to the next level. And this applies even to business owners who already have a successful business. Okay, just like the jobs of today will not exist 5 years from now. 90% of the jobs, I think it's 78% of the jobs of today will not exist in 2030. Okay, because the world is changing so fast. Similarly, businesses, big industrialists are going bankrupt because they fail to learn the skills that are important in the new economy, my friend. You have industrialists going bankrupt, worth hundreds of thousands of crores are now worth only 100 crores, which is like bankrupt for them, right? And you see these stories every day because they fail to upgrade their brain to match the speed at which this planet is moving, my friend. Okay, so you need to do this not only for yourself but for your next generation also. What are you going to teach your next generation? Yeah, go get a degree, do a job. That's not going to work. Go read that other story that this author called 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤 had written, which is the story of the necklace. I published it 2 days ago. Okay, and then you'll find out what is the pain of regret. What is the pain of regret? Doing something for 20 years that ain't gonna serve you, my friend. Okay, so losing money, losing face, and the fear of the unknown. These are the 3 big risks, and these are the 3 ways that you can actually minimize this risk and make sure that you increase the chances for your own success. What did you learn from this video? What are the different things you would like to learn? Just put in the comments box so that Facebook keeps showing you the future trainings. I got another 2 or 3 power pack trainings coming up in the next few days. Okay, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.